Hey everybody, it's Kendra. Welcome to my channel if you're new, and welcome back if you've been here before. So my video today is going to be a very quick how-to video, and it is going to be how to freeze kale. Yes, everybody's favorite. So I like to have a few bags of kale in my freezer, kale that I grew myself. I like to have frozen kale in my freezer throughout the year so that I can add it to smoothies and to soups. Now, the way I do this does require blanching, but I find that if I blanch my kale and I freeze it, I feel like it's easier for my body to digest it. I do notice if I put raw kale into my smoothies, it can make me a little bit stinky, if you know what I mean. But I feel like my frozen kale that I have blanched is definitely easier on my digestive system. Apparently there is some enzyme in kale that if you don't blanch it, and you freeze it, you've got to use it in a couple months. But I still have kale that I froze a year ago that I'm still blending up into smoothies, and it's still totally fine. Actually, I think I just finished it. Anywho, freezing kale is very simple. It does require a couple different steps, but ultimately it is a pretty simple, straightforward process. Now, I generally freeze kale when I have a large amount. I'm not gonna monkey around with this for just like a few kale leaves. I wait until I have like a very large box. As you're gonna see in a second, the box of kale I had, it's a strawberry flats box. So if you're familiar with picking strawberries, that was what I had filled with kale. I will wait until I know I can either get one box, like one flat, or more. Like if I can get 2 flats filled with kale, I will have a kale freezing party and go to town. So anywho, here we go. Let's take a peek at how to freeze kale. Alrighty, let's freeze some kale. So I've got my big box of kale here. So the first thing I want to do is remove this stem. So all I'm gonna do is take my thumb and my first finger and just pull it off. I just don't really want to monkey around with the stems when I'm freezing this kale. You can do it if you like. That's just a personal preference for me. Next, I'm going to clean the kale. So I've got this big honking container. This is actually what I use for canning. And side note, this was not even meant to be used for canning. This is actually a container to deep fry a turkey. Yeah, anyway, we don't deep fry turkeys here, but I do use this for canning and for cleaning kale. So I've got some water in here and I'm gonna dump in, I don't know, maybe a half a cup, maybe probably more like a cup or so, of just plain white vinegar. Nothing fancy here, just plain Jane Heinz white vinegar I get at Costco. Now I'm gonna put all of my kale in the pot, and I'm gonna let this sit for about 20 minutes. Now, the reason I'm putting this in the vinegar solution is just in case there are any bugs. I wanna take care of the bugs. Obviously, I will be blanching this later, so I don't think the bugs would really stand much of a chance going through a boiling hot dunk in water. But you never know. So I do like to let it soak in vinegar for 20 minutes. Alrighty, so it has been 20 minutes. Now it is time to rinse the kale. So just gonna take it out, put it in a big old strainer, rinse it off. Now I generally will do the rinsing and the blanching. You know, I'll keep kind of coming back here. I'll rinse some, I'll go blanch it, do my thing, because I can't fit all of my kale in this container. So I do want to rinse this off quite well. I want to get all of that vinegar off. All right, and next we're going to blanch this kale. So I've got my boiling pot of water here. So I'm just going to take, handful or 2 of kale, put it in. And then I'm gonna use one of these little strainer dudes, just kind of get it all under the water. And then I am going to start my timer. I'm gonna let this blanch for 1 minute, and then it is going to go into that ice water bath. All right, we've been blanched for 1 minute. Time to go into the ice water bath. And as you can see, isn't that color just so pretty? After it's been blanched, it's just lovely. Now, I want to point out, if you see like this little white dude, I think that's a bug. Ooh, that's hot. So if I see anything like that little weirdness, I am gonna pick that out and get rid of that, because I really don't want to eat that in a smoothie. We're just gonna put it over here in the ice water bath, and we're basically just going to repeat this process. All right, so once this is nice and cold, I'm just gonna take it out and squeeze out as much excess water as I can. And then I'm gonna put it over on this towel. And I'm basically just gonna keep doing that with the whole lot of kale. And yes, sometimes you will find a nice dead caterpillar that has taken a very hot bath. Also, what I really like to do with the kale once it's out of the ice water bath, I like to just kind of lay it out like this. Once I've got all of the kale blanched and cooled down, I'm gonna show you how I get rid of most of the excess water, as much excess water as I can. All right, so I have all of my kale blanched and cooled down, and I got most of the water wrung out of it, but in order to really get out all the water, you don't want to freeze it with all that water because you're going to get ice crystals and it's just not going to be nice. So what I like to do is put a couple more towels on and then roll it up. So I've already got 2 towels underneath and then 2 towels on top. So I am just going to take this and just wring it out as much as I possibly can. Okay, and then let's take a peek. So this looks pretty good. I think I am gonna use some dry towels and do it one more time. Can probably get away with just doing 1 towel on top. And again, make a big sausage and get out the water. And there you go. Now all I need to do is put this in a bag and get it in the freezer. All right, now I just labeled a bag, kale with September 3rd, 2019. Very important to label. And I'm just gonna put this kale in here. Usually if I do one of those strawberry boxes full of kale, that I can usually fit in a 1-quart freezer bag, which is exactly what I've done here. Close it up. And one thing I would recommend, you want to get as much air out as you can. Okay, voila. Now we are good to go, ready for the freezer. So there you go. You can see it's very, very simple. Here is my frozen kale that I froze a couple days ago. Now, I do want to mention, you know, obviously you want to squeeze out the air. When you're squeezing out the air, yeah, your kale, you know, kind of becomes compacted and it freezes into a nice block. If this happens, here's what you're gonna do. You're just gonna throw it on the floor a couple times and it will start to break up. It still kind of is a bit of a chunk. Some of the bits at the bottom are breaking off, but that's all you need to do. Just whack it on the floor, go outside, throw it on the concrete or blacktop, whatever, and it will break apart. Again, you do not need to blanch kale in order to freeze it, but if you do not blanch it, it will not last as long as if you do blanch it. I think blanching kale, they say it's good for at least a year, but if you don't blanch it, it's like good for 2 or 3 months. And so far this season, I think I have frozen about 4 or 5 times this amount. I can't quite remember. I definitely have like 3 or 4 of these in the freezer. I may also have a gallon bag in the freezer, but not completely full. So I'm hoping to get at least enough kale to do 1 or 2 more batches to just really hold me over through the winter. Also, if you are freezing vegetables or fruit or anything from your garden, if you're freezing stuff, if you're canning stuff, if you're fermenting stuff, let me know. I'm always looking for more inspiration and more projects. So thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!